All right, everybody. Here we go. Let's try this again. This is like my fifth or sixth attempt at this. Hopefully this works. Of course, you don't know that. This is the first attempt you're going to see, and it's going to work. So you're going to think that I know what I'm doing, and hopefully I've got you all fooled into thinking that. Welcome to the first of many Patreon-exclusive Kimagure Orange Road watch-along videos. So, we're going to watch the video together. It'll be Patreon only. This will be a Patreon only bonus for the foreseeable future. The audio would probably work pretty well in a podcast as like an audio commentary, but I'm going to present it on Patreon with the full video embedded. So it will be a seamless product. You'll be able to just press play on this video and watch the episode along with me on the screen. And it'll work really well because it's Patreon only. Of course, if you're watching this live on YouTube, I can't do that. I have to block out the video every couple of minutes. So if you're watching it live, that's how it's going to look. But if you watch it back on Patreon, you won't see the blocking out of the video periodically with a generic image from the episode. I'm actually going to use the photograph that's displayed at the end of the episode to kind of cover up the video, and hopefully YouTube won't be a pissy little bitch about that, but who knows? Maybe they will be a pissy little bitch because that's what they do best. Anyway, welcome to the show. We're going to get started. We're going to get cracking here in just a second. I hope that everybody is in a good mood, relaxed, kick back, take a deep breath. It's the end of a work week. I hope you guys are doing what I'm doing and cracking a icy cold, delicious Japanese brewski right here. There you go. It's the only way to do it. The Japanese beers are not my favorite, I must admit. I like them. I enjoy them. But I think I enjoyed them more as a young man in his late teens and early 20s as kind of like a novelty. Plus, I had not yet become a beer snob. And I'm a little bit more of a beer snob now. And I'm certainly, I favor more the American beers, particularly the East Coast. I kind of like the New England IPA, the real hazy stuff, the real citrusy. I think a beer should be very turbid. You should not be able to see through it. And it should be hoppy, juicy, and citrusy. And that's just what I like. And obviously the Japanese beers are not very much like that. But they're still good. They're still enjoyable and certainly appropriate at times like this. So let's go ahead and get cracking on this video, and we'll get started watching this episode together, and we'll see how this goes. Hopefully these will be cool. Hopefully these will be fun. I always like these little intros. It kind of implies a joint relationship. He's setting up the camera to take a photo with both girls, which I don't know. Ayuko kind of knows what's up. Shikaru doesn't, so I don't know why she's like cool with like, all right, I'm going to take a picture with my boyfriend and my best friend, and we're going to like straddle him. We're going to sit on either side. Doesn't make any sense. And also here is where the epilepsy warning should be, just in case, you like that. Obviously, there are a lot of cuts in this intro. I like frenetic editing. I like cuts. I like cuts that go with the beat. When I was in high school, I used to make videos like this. Me and my buddy would make videos like this. And we even used some anime. We used Maison and Koku actually to make a video. And, we like to cut. I like something up-tempo, and that's why I love Orange Road music in general. It's always very up-tempo, just like this song. But then you get, this frenetic cutting with the beat. Like, you just cut with the drums there, and then it's like 18 cuts in the span of like half a second. And it's just too much for your brain. But it's appropriate for the series, right? I feel like this intro is very appropriate for Orange Road because it's full. It's very full. And it's frenetic. And this show is just kind of wacky and kind of out there, maybe even a touch experimental at times. And so I think it's perfect. I like how they cut to images with like a graffiti style Orange Road scrawled across things, because it makes me not feel so bad for just calling the series Orange Road. And instead of insisting on always calling it Kimagure Orange Road, I feel like you can point to this intro and say, well, they have like 4 or 5 different images of like a graffiti style Orange Road, and it just says Orange Road, so you don't have to constantly repeat the Kimagure, because I think that can be confusing to individuals who aren't extremely familiar with this series. Now, with this artwork, see the title here, where you have those little droplets creating those orange ripples, and then you have the Japanese text scrawled as if it was written by hand, and it looks like chalk on a chalkboard. I always tried to imitate that with my episode artwork for each podcast episode. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but I hope you did. I hope it was fairly obvious that even with the font I was using for the text on the episode titles, with those episode cover arts, I was trying to imitate that intro title card that tells you that this episode's called Transfer Student. 'Tis embarrassing to say, but I'll fall in love for the first time, that is a freaking mouthful. And also, like, where do they get the tis? Like, gosh, it makes him sound like a neckbeard, right? Like milady and stuff like that. Like, you really shouldn't talk like that. Tis and milady do not belong in dating scenarios. Do not talk to women like that, because nothing will get that vagina drier faster than like tipping your fedora at a girl and saying milady and shit like that. You're not a knight of the round table, so don't say milady. And so, he's counting stairs, as he is wont to do. He has this first encounter with Ayuko. Doesn't even know the girl's name, but obviously she's being kind of flirty, pretty nice to him. They get into a heated argument in just a second here, and, it's just fate. It's just star-crossed, just fate. He's thinking, I moved to a good town because this one's got hot ladies in it, but I don't know. I have to imagine that there were attractive women in your previous town, bro. But I think it's also supposed to be symbolic of, like, he's now reaching the age where he's noticing attractive women and women that are attractive to him. And maybe at the previous town, he was a couple of years younger or whatever, and he wasn't really paying that kind of attention to the girls his age. He's like just coming of age. He's on that cusp of, like, now he's starting to realize the type of things that he likes in a potential romantic partner. And clearly he likes a woman who will, stand up for herself and argue with him about how many steps there are. She's certain that there are 99. He is quite certain that there are 100. And so they're both kind of willful in that sense. I mean, Kasuga is not looked at as a very strong-willed character. He's wishy-washy, and he's always characterized as being indecisive. So it is striking that in his first scene of the entire series, he is kind of willful. He's not wishy-washy. He tells her, I just counted 100 steps, so you're wrong. He doesn't know who he's arguing with, clearly. She'd fucking break him like a pencil. And just like one thumb, just break him in half, because she's a gang member and delinquent, martial arts expert. I still got a bit of a cough. I'm going to try to hit the mute button. You guys watching this video, you'll see me cough, but hopefully you won't hear me cough, because I'm going to try to hit the button. I don't know when this cough is ever going to leave me alone. It's been like 6 weeks, but the show must go on. So I've been dying to watch this episode again. We're exposed to a bit of his voiceover here too, so we know. So it's early in the show. I mean, he's had some dialogue, but this is telling us this is going to be our main character. We're going to follow this character because he's giving us the voiceover. He's speaking, addressing the audience directly. I like the way they did that with the subtitles. I got to say, that was clever of them to print the subtitles upside down, because the card that identified the family for the mailbox was upside down. It was perfect. Kasuga noticed it was upside down, but maybe a Western audience that's not familiar with kanji, because those names were pretty much exclusively kanji. And if you're not a Japanese speaker, then obviously you may not know that was upside down. But by printing the subtitles upside down, it sort of gave us that effect that a Japanese viewer would very much pick up on, because they're looking at upside down text, which to them would make perfect sense, but to a Western audience would not. So I think that was just like a nice little clever touch. Whoever thought of that, whoever's idea that was, I hope they got a big pat on the back and a lot of credit for that, because it's a clever little thing to do, is write the subtitles again as Kasuga is writing turning the card back to its correct position. And then this is a great introduction for their ESP powers. We don't know if Kasuga used ESP to catch the hat. He might have. He's not a very athletic fellow after all. He made a semi-miraculous catch of the hat in the previous scene, but we don't hear the trademark sound of like the power being used. We heard it there. When Kurumi used the power, we heard her using the power. It makes this kind of sound, this sort of sci-fi special effects sound that doesn't sound like her running. It's the use of the power, and it near exclusively accompanies the power in this show. So whenever they use the power, you hear this sound, and that's your auditory cue as a viewer that you know that they're using the power. They're not just doing this of their own kind of volition. They're using the power to make something happen. We didn't hear that when he caught the hat, so we can choose to believe that he did not use the power to catch the hat. He made the miraculous catch on his own. Or you might believe that he did use the power. I think in the manga there's a line where he's like, come here, and it's almost like he's encouraging the hat to blow his way, and you could interpret that as him kind of using his ESP to guide the hat toward his hand and make the catch easier. But there's no sound effects in the manga, so they're just drawn in. You don't actually hear them. So. But here we're introduced to the power more properly when the guy walks in the door, the drawer hits him in the face, and we're just wondering, what's going on with his family. We quickly learn that they have this ESP power. Kasuga explains everything to us very succinctly through the voiceover, and that's really the purpose of the voiceover, right, is to give us information in a more direct way that we would otherwise have to either interpret for our own or glean from dialogue and events, and that's why voiceover is kind of sometimes controversial. Sometimes people don't like voiceover because they'd rather be shown something than told something. This general good advice in film and television is show, don't tell, and they do some telling in this show, and it's via Kasuga's voiceover. These first few episodes really give the impression that Jingoro is like pretty abused. This is kind of where I came up with the theory that, he's like some kind of hostage. He's being held captive by the Kasuga family because he tries to get away. I mean, later in the series, he doesn't really try to get away so much. I mean, he tries to escape them when they're painting him like a wrestler and putting makeup on him and stuff. He tries to go hide, but he doesn't actively try to escape the home like he did in this episode, where he's just trying to get away. Like he's just trying to get out and never come back and run to his freedom. And we see him even clawing the steps there, or the tiles. You get an idea of how strong the power is. So here we're introduced to Shikaru, and we get a little bit different introduction to her character. I mean, she's riding a motorcycle very fast with no helmet. I have to say, if that was my daughter, put that goddamn helmet on. In fact, I'm gonna shit bricks catching my teenage daughter on a motorcycle. You better wait till I'm dead, honey. I got 2 daughters, and they both better wait till I'm dead to get tattoos and ride on motorcycles. You wait till I'm dead, honey. I got type 1 diabetes. It ain't gonna be that long. Wait till I'm dead. Then ride the motorcycles, then get the tattoos, then have sex with all the dudes, and I can just watch you from heaven, probably hell, and lament. And obviously we see that Shikaru is, engaging in a lot of the delinquent behavior that Ayukawa is also renowned for, notorious for, infamous for. And we just see that Shikaru is, she used the guy for a ride. And then she's willing to belittle him in front of all of these other students and kind of make him look like a dipshit. And she's not afraid of him. I mean, you got to give her that. Like, he's a gang member. He's clearly willing to hit her here. If there weren't people around, teachers and stuff, he is like willing to lay hands on her because she insulted him. And so, she's not afraid of him. I mean, she's mocking him. She's deriding him. So you have to appreciate her bravado, but you also get the idea that maybe she doesn't know any better, that, maybe she has these people around. In this case, the teachers. In other cases, maybe it was Ayuko that like kind of keep her safe. I had a roommate who was a small guy in college, and it was me, 4 dudes, and him. So it was 5 of us, and me and the other dudes were all black belts in martial arts, and we were all like, pretty average to larger sized dudes. And this small roommate of ours would just talk mad shit. And, he just knew that we were there. So it's like, you don't want to fuck with me because I got my 4 boys over here and we'll all mash you. And it was like, dude, just, stop pulling me in the shit. But you have to appreciate that perhaps her bravado is, maybe not entirely earned. And she's rude to the Kasugas at first, too. I mean, I think that's another thing that always struck me, is that she's rude to the Kasugas. She's like, what are you looking at? They just saw you pull up on a bike doing like wheelies and donuts and shit. Of course they're going to look. You're making a scene. But then you're going to tell them to buzz off. What are you looking at? I don't even think that's a good way to introduce yourself to somebody. You like girls, right? I mean, that's sort of like I come up to you. You don't even know my name yet. I'm like, you're not gay, right? You like girls? Yeah, okay, cool. Or like if you're a guy, I guess that only works if you're a guy. If you're a girl, I'd say, hey, you gay? You like girls? Odd way to introduce yourself. I would probably lead with the name. Hey, I'm Komatsu. Also, I'm a complete pervert and I'm desperate to get laid. Even still, I might wait till the second conversation to tell you that about myself. Not all the girls are good ones, and as we hear Komatsu deliver that line, we see that camera zoom in on Ayuko's desk, and she's not there. Where is she? She's cutting school. She's being a delinquent. She's out smoking. Who knows? But she's the person that obviously they wanted us to think of. Not all girls are good, I feel like this is a little bit of needless exposition where Komatsu kind of talks about how the junior high is connected to the high school, which is connected to a college. And, you kind of, they go from one to the next, and they can kind of easily progress. It's not as difficult for students of this school system because they have a high school associated with the middle school. I mean, I think typically it's a little harder to get into a desirable high school, just as it is in the United States difficult to get into a desirable college because there's a lot of competition. And so you have to really be kind of an outstanding student to get into a very desirable college. It's a little bit like that in Japan with high schools. But I think what Komatsu is saying here is that it's a little easier for them. They have an easier ride from, junior high to college. And it feels like needless exposition because the series never progresses further than junior high. They're second years in junior high currently. It's springtime, so this would be about the beginning of the second year. Madoka the pick. I always thought that was a little cheesy too. Like she's throwing picks at people. That's I don't know, like a guitar pick. I mean, like you could like whip someone's ass with a drumstick. You know what I mean? Like, but a guitar pick, I don't know. So she started a fight. Obviously, Shikaru's bravado earlier has gotten her in trouble. And as she points out, they brought a lot of dudes to just beat up one 13-year-old girl or 14-year-old girl, whatever, however old she is. I think she's 13 or 14 at the beginning of the series. I think she's 1 year behind Kasuga, so she must be 14. It's weird if she's too young. Although I think it's kind of weird in general. Like they could have been high school students. Like why not make them 10th or 11th graders? Why can't they be second year in high school instead of junior high? And then it would make more sense that they're getting in discos and shit like that. Like 15-year-old boys, like you look like a 15-year-old boy. I'm not letting you into this club if I'm the bouncer. Yeah, and from episode 1, Komatsu and Hata, the pervs, they want to do it with Kasuga's sisters. That'd be a weird feeling. If you're Kasuga, like you're two friends, I guess, sort of. Just want to bone your sister. Sisters. Classic evasion while the other guys eat a knee. This guy's just sitting there. Really, it should be no contest. 5 dudes and one 14-year-old girl. I mean, they ought to be able to kick her ass pretty easily. Which we're seeing here. Took them long enough. And this is kind of weird. It's like 4 dudes. Takes 4 dudes to hold a 14-year-old still. I think if you're this giant dude, Andre the Giant of 1980s Japan, of course, stick your hand right near her mouth. She can bite you. She can't hit you. She can't kick you. She can't scratch you, but she can bite you. So, you should put your hand right next to her mouth so she can do that. And then the guitar pick flies through the air, stabs the guy in the hand. And I always thought, what a pussy. This guy gets a guitar pick in the back of the hand. It's like a scratch. It's a flesh wound. It's barely a wound. You can't even call it a wound. It's a scratch. But he's gripping his wrist like he's been grievously injured. Like it's the most pain he's felt in his entire life. But we get this early introduction to what a badass Ayuko is. And it's a little bit of a shock for Kasuga. It might even be a little bit of a surprise for the viewer. That this girl is so incredible at martial arts that she just beats the shit out of all these guys. And it's believable. I mean, there are certainly shows and movies where, a young girl is able to beat up 5 dudes that outweigh her by 50 pounds each and stretches the credibility a little bit sometimes. But here it's like Ayuko is so fast and so ruthless with these guys that she just attacks them rapidly before they can really do much. She goes for weak points like the face. It's believable is what I'm saying, that she could do this and fight off these guys. I never questioned it. I never thought, are you sure? I like that too. This show really has some good pickup lines. You want to be my bitch? That is precisely how I got my wife to marry me, guys. And if you don't propose to your significant other by saying, hey, do you want to be my bitch for life? Here's a ring, bitch. Then have you really proposed? I mean, are you even really romantic? Should she even consider marrying you? No, I would say the answer is no. You want to be my bitch. It is the only way to offer your hand in marriage. Just, do you want to be my bitch? I need a bitch. You're a good bitch. So, I mean, you did some karate kicks on some dudes' faces. You put a knee in my homeboy's nose. I think it's broken. You want to, maybe we could date. Beat the shit out of my friends and we'll date. That's what I told my wife when we first started seeing each other. We were first just talking. We just first met. And you want to go to coffee? Okay, yeah, coffee sounds good. All right, well, coffee was fun, and I'd like to see you again. But if we're going to date, you need to beat the shit out of all of my friends first. And then I will invite you to be my bitch. I like the cutaway to Shikata. She's covering her face, and then they cut back to Ayuko. It seems like an economical way of truncating her fight with this dude. So you don't have to show every movement. You don't have to animate every martial arts movement, which I imagine is probably some of the more difficult stuff to animate. It's all the kung fu moves, like Jackie Chan shit. The sisters impressed. They think, wouldn't it be cool if I could do that? Yeah, it would be cool if you could do that. It'd be cool if any of us could do that. At least he knows he looks like a loser. At least he knows. He looks kind of lame, just standing there But she didn't notice him yet. See how she did that sharp intake of breath? And it's because she had not noticed the Kasuga kids standing there. It feels weird to call them kids, but they're kids. The Kasuga kids standing there watching. Very important line. I wouldn't know a guy like this. I don't know this guy. I don't know this guy, and I wouldn't know a guy like this. I'm not interested in him. She just acted so cavalier. I don't know this dude, never met him, don't know him. Now, Shikaru believes that there is no previous or prior relationship between Ayuko and Kasuga. Why would she think that there would be any problem with her going after Kasuga? If anything, she might be kind of worried that her best friend dislikes the guy that she wants to date. So she's thinking how's this going to go? I want to date this guy, but my best friend, since childhood, has beef with him. So, man enough to lecture other people. She's going to give it to him. He saw it coming a mile away. He's like, and he just You still took it. Took it like a man. But then he fell on his knees. I always thought, come on, dude. Like, turn your face a little bit. Do that cool thing where you like turn your face and your hair falls down a little bit and you just kind of keep your face there, kind of turn for a second, and then you like slowly look back like it hurt you, but like you're trying to be cool about it. Don't fall on your knees and then like grip your face and look like you're about to cry like Kasuga just did there. That is not the way to handle getting slapped. When you get smacked, take it, look back at it real slow and just be like, that hurts. But I'm a man. I'm going to take it like a man. You want to smack me again? That's probably what happens right after you ask her if she wants to be your bitch, right? Do you want to be my bitch? So here Kasuga is recollecting his initial encounter with Ayuko, and it's interesting. We're presented the thing without dialogue, but we get to hear it over, or we get to see it over the sound of Ayuko's sax. We don't really realize it's Ayuko on the sax yet, but we'll cut to an image of her, or maybe she's having a similar thought, similar recollection. I mean, we believe that this is Kasuga having that recollection because he's looking at the hat. It cuts away to the flashback. It cuts back to him still looking at the hat. So we know that this is all happening within Kasuga's mind. We're seeing Kasuga as he's recollecting this, but we're hearing Ayuko play. And those events are happening simultaneously. Ayuko is over at her house here. We get the cutaway. Now we realize that the sound we've been hearing, that the saxophone music that we've been hearing, is actually diegetic music being played by Ayuko. And it's kind of interesting. You have to think. We don't get to see inside Ayuko's head here the way we just did with Kasuga. We know exactly what Kasuga's thinking. He's confused. He's wondering, how can this be the same person? But we don't get to see what Ayuko is thinking. But we do get an idea that, like, there's something going on. It's a good intro episode. I always thought these first few episodes, like, you got to get through the first couple of episodes to get to, like, the real fun, like, meat of the show episodes, like episode 19 and, other really fun, episode 22, really fun episodes with music that slap. But I got to say, as I've grown a little older, I really appreciate these initial episodes because of the degree of characterization that we get and the setup that we get that then creates this situation, which is admittedly really kind of bonkers. Like, two women are going to like this guy. Like, the two of the most attractive girls at the school, hell, in the whole town, are into this Kasuga guy. It just doesn't make shit for sense, to be honest. But here he is, and the idea that he's juggling these two women, he's got this love triangle that he's balancing. If I just watch episode 19, I wonder what is this? This is the most attractive girl in the whole town. What does she want to do? She's the smartest girl at school. What does she want to do with him? But you kind of get an idea in these early episodes, like what she kind of sees in him, and she's not. She's very mature, but she's not this mysterious like adult either. She's still a kid too. She's figuring shit out as well. She's just doing it a little bit differently than Kasuga. And we don't get to hear her thoughts on the matter because Kasuga's the one providing the voiceover. But really, these first few episodes are kind of important for getting an idea of like what her psychology is like, especially at the start of the episode, like what Ayuko is going to be like in this love triangle. This shit I will bitch about next time. I'm going to wait till next time to complain about the headbutt kiss in the middle of the hallway. I swear I'm going to stifle myself now. Anyway. Before we play too much in the next episode, thank you guys for watching this one. Next week, we're going to do the same thing. That felt short, didn't it? That felt really short to me. It went by very fast. And because I'm not going to edit this thing, just going straight up. So, yeah, thanks for watching. We'll do another one next Friday. Thanks for commenting in the chat. Love you people. See you next week.